group Berlin spoke to has one goal: to move society a step closer to accepting sexual contact between adults and children, even decriminalize it.
Absolutely. Oh, they're very clear about that.
A flood of filth and a baptism of dirt in America. I see the prophecy of Nahum coming to pass in the very near future. God said, I'll pour abominable filth upon you. Sex education classes in school will be using animated cartoons and film dramatized sexual intercourse. Suddenly the floodgates are going to swing open and Satan is going to vomit filth out of hell, and it'll be just as it was in the days of Lot.
The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
The audience should think that you are nude.
Every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
The audience should think.
Every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil.
That you are nude. You are nude.
And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing and the fowls of the air.
publicity, you're out of your mind.
Absolutely, because he's one of my most favorite people ever. He's one of my most favorite people. For about 3 weeks. And he's been terrific. You know, she's the greatest.
Please, everybody, if you have kids, please know what they are being taught in school. I had to read this several times before my brain accepted that this is what passes for 5th grade sex education in Chicago. We are talking about children between the ages of 10 and 12 years old, kids being taught about anal sex complete with diagrams. Disgusting. I have to tell you, if my kid attended that school, there would have been a major incident by now. Among the advice to be given to these children was the following. Use lots of lube and enter anus slowly. From RT, parents at an elite magnet elementary school in Chicago were horrified when they saw the obscene sexual education materials their 5th graders would be learning. The curriculum included condom demonstrations and discussions of anal sex. How to use FCs, anal insertion, easy as 1, 2, and 3. Only teachers were supposed to see the material, WBBM reported. School officials say they're taking steps to make sure teacher resources and supplemental materials are kept separate from the curriculum. So if only teachers were meant to see the material, does that mean that parents wouldn't have found out until after the sex education lesson had taken place?
Chicago, their school curriculum includes sex health education starting in kindergarten. And the 5th graders are actually being taught how to have anal sex. Sexual pleasure. For increased pleasure. And they're encouraged to use lubrication. 5th graders. Appalling and not age appropriate. It is not appropriate. I don't even know what to say anymore. It is so horrifying to see this country collapse into just a cesspool of... I don't even know what to call it anymore. Well, these are the pamphlets that are rammed down the throats of 10-year-olds. The female condom can also be used for anal sex. This is for 5th graders. 5, 5th, 10, 11-year-olds. Squeeze the inner ring between your thumb and middle finger. Insert the inner ring into the anal opening and use your finger to guide it inside. Put your finger inside the condom and push it into the anal cavity. It goes on. There's more. Every parent should be storming Chicago's school boards demanding that this get yanked. And if it doesn't get yanked, they should absolutely pull their kids from the schools. I am horrified at what has happened to this country. It is stunning, incomprehensible, a moral disgrace we have become.
Let's see, depopulation. Yeah, there are some people who would like to reduce the population of the planet. If you go outside the city of Atlanta, go east about 60 or 70 miles to the town of Elberton, and then go north on Highway 77 about 10 miles, you'll find off to the right what's called the Georgia Guidestones. It looks kind of like Stonehenge, these big, huge granite rocks set up there. This was done by a guy, we have a pseudonym, came in, paid cash, had this company set these things up in 1980. He called himself R.C. Christian, but that's not his real name. It says right on the stones, a pseudonym, false name. On these Georgia Guidestones, it gives the 10 Commandments for the New World Order. 10 Commandments for the New World Order. The first commandment was to maintain humanity under 500 million. I went there and looked at those things and said, now, hold on a minute. Today's population is 6 billion. They want to maintain humanity under 500 million. Looks like a lot of people got to die for their plan to work. Jacques Cousteau said we'd have to eliminate 350,000 people a day. 1/3 of a million people a day would have to be eliminated to save Mother Earth. Bill Clinton said we need to reduce the population of the earth to 1 billion. There are a lot of folks who would like to reduce the population of the earth. The Bible command is quite the opposite. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth. You know, God said, go fill it, have a bunch of kids. The Bible says He designed it to be inhabited. So no, it's absolutely the opposite of what God wants. How does Margaret Sanger tie into overpopulation in this whole propaganda? Well, Margaret Sanger was a tragic individual. She believed in, reducing the population of the earth using birth control, using homosexuality, using just about anything other than doing what God commanded to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So Margaret Sanger started a group called the Planned Parenthood, which many people have heard of. They are one of the key people today in the abortion industry. I mean, absolutely murdering. Nearly 5,000 people a day are being murdered by abortion. So Margaret Sanger, we have her largely to thank for that. Other factors, of course, are involved too. But yeah, it's really sad. I'm sure she's going to answer to God for what she's done with her teaching. She taught that inferior races like blacks and Jews and Hispanics really need to be eliminated. She wanted to set up her birth control clinics in these lower class neighborhoods, people that she thought didn't deserve to live, and slowly, get them sterilized, or, she was really involved in the eugenics movement, which became very unpopular by World War II because Hitler took the obvious conclusion, Hitler was the ultimate evolutionist. I mean, if evolution's true, then you find the superior race that Hitler thought, of course, was the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Germans, or Norwegians, and said they're the superior race, so everybody else should be really slowly executed, starting with the Jews, and then you had blacks, and on and on and on. Yeah, Margaret Sanger is a tragic person in history, and what she did is much worse than Adolf Hitler. Hitler only killed like 6 million. Margaret Sanger and her type with the abortion industry are responsible for killing 1,000 million. It's 1 billion people.
Legalizing sexual child abuse. Yes, pedophilia is now classified as a sexual orientation. Yes, hard to believe. Truth and Action News is reporting the unthinkable. They write that this would seem to be the very first step in tolerating the sodomizing of children. Pedophilia is now officially classified as a sexual orientation under the politically correct term minor attracted person. Apparently now people can classify themselves as heterosexual, homosexual, asexual, metrosexual, and then there are endless sexual orientations under the sun, and now pedophilia can be added to the list. Now, apparently in the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the American Psychological Association drew a very distinct line between pedophilia and pedophilic disorder. Pedophilia refers to a sexual orientation or profession of sexual preference devoid of consummation, whereas pedophilic disorder is defined as a compulsion and is used in reference to individuals who act on their sexuality. APA's decision has given rise to numerous pedophilia advocacy groups, the chief of them being B4U Act. It's literally spelled the letter B, the number 4, the letter U, and then ACT. They are a nonprofit grassroots organization based in Maryland, and they were created back in 2003, primarily as a means for minor attracted persons to be open about their sexual preferences in a supportive atmosphere. Before You Act is now widening the scope of their organization, and that is according to spokesperson and registered sex offender Paul Cristiano. The pedophilia advocacy group is working towards destigmatizing the mental health community. Cristiano explained that the negative societal attitudes towards minor attracted persons trickle down to policymaking and the mental health community. Wow, that's a story I never thought I'd actually read. Apparently now the pedophilia is a sexual orientation. They say that this group, you can fantasize about sex with children as long as you don't act upon it. I'm sure that it's going to have some very negative consequences, especially on our children.
We are talking about children between the ages of 10 and 12 years old, kids being taught about anal sex complete with diagrams.
You do what you have to do to protect your baby.
I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I fear no evil, because I'm blind to it all. In my mind, my gun, they comfort me, because I know I'll kill my enemies when they come.
The group Berlin spoke to has one goal: to move society a step closer to accepting sexual contact between adults and children, even decriminalize it.
Absolutely. Oh, they're very clear about that.
Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell on this earth forevermore. Said I walk beside the still waters, and they restore my soul. But I can't walk on the path of the right, because I'm wrong.
Sexual child abuse, yes, pedophilia, is now classified as a sexual orientation.
I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I fear no evil, because I'm blind to it all. In my mind, my gun, they comfort me, because I know I'll kill my enemies when they come. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell on this earth forevermore. more. Said I walk beside the still waters and they restore my soul. But I can't walk on the path of the right because I'm wrong. No, I can't walk on the path of the right because I'm wrong.
The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth.
The audience should think